thinking like that. Who of you ever came to God sincerely to repent and He said, oh, it's you. You know, I've been wooing you for like 6 months, right? You know that, right? In fact, 6 months ago, you had the greatest opportunity to come to me than you ever have. And in the last 6 months, you've caused a lot of hell and pain. And now you're here. I don't even know what you're doing. You put me through a lot too. I don't know if I even want my heart on this yo-yo string. I don't even know where we stand anymore. I'm not even sure why you're here because you've put me through a lot and you've hurt me a bunch. See, that sounds so foolish when you put that in God's mouth. It ought to sound just as foolish in yours. You're made for His image. And His way is your way. The only reason we're so hurt and taken back by these things is because we really are living for ourselves without realizing it, admitting it, and addressing it. Let me show you something in James, because that question's got me excited. That's a good question. Whoever asked it, thanks for the humility of asking it. And I'm not condemning you. I'm saying don't you be deceived and let your husband decide who you are. Let Jesus figure that out and decide that so you see rightly your husband. Because here's the problem. If you don't see your husband rightly, it'll start dividing your heart. You'll start feeling sorry for yourself. You'll start justifying things and blaming it on him. And watch this. Can you imagine this? Any of us can imagine this. So one day we stand before God and we look into His liquidy, fiery eyes of eternal love and unsearchable wisdom. We don't even know what it's going to be like, guys. Come on. We're going to meet Him and look at Him face to face. And you're going to go, right? Can you imagine doing this? I would have believed you if it wasn't for my spouse. That would be pitiful. And you won't even be able to think it. You'll just go, duh, I was deceived. But here's the problem. There's a sentimental mindset in the church that hasn't died in water baptism and died to the flesh, where a lot of us have our own pains and hurts and we don't make good counselors because of that. So all we do is pass on how we'd feel instead of who Jesus is. It says, don't let many of you be teachers. There's a stricter judgment. Some of us are even finding our identity through feeling like we're helping people, but if you're not giving them the counsel of God, if you're giving them permission to stay hurt or look like the flesh, if you're just saying, oh, honey, I'm sorry he's doing that to you. I wish he'd love you more. You deserve more. Honey, you can't stay in this. You need more than this. That is a deceptive trap. It's going to give you permission to walk on a road that Jesus never travels. Now I'm being strong and straight. You guys all right? This thing is real. Because all of a sudden, your unresolved conflicts and your hurt and your pain starts rising up desires and motives and motivation. And all of a sudden you have eyes to see something you wouldn't even see if everything was okay. And all of a sudden you become manipulated and fashioned by the crisis instead of fashioned by the Christ. And all of a sudden you're nothing more than a product of what you're going through in the name of the Lord. You can cover it with Christian language, but it's not God. I know that's strong, but boy, that's in me. All right, Pastor? You guys okay? Come on, I am not cool with you slipping into feeling sorry for yourself in any situation. I'm serious, and I know some things are tough, and I wish it was different. I wish everybody had a strong desire for God. Come on. But if you're going to let your life be determined by whether other people are hungry for God, what is that? It's like somebody going to a church and saying, boy, that church isn't loving, which should have been you were there. So why are you letting everything else determine who you are? Why don't you let the one that we say is awesome determine who we are? Who's ever felt this way? Be honest. Whoever has actually believed that your spouse or a close relationship or family member was holding you back. Be honest, because it's a lot. But who, in raising your hands humbly, would bear witness to my answer and realize that you don't have to let it be that way. That you can embrace a higher way of thinking. You see what I'm saying? And overcome evil with good. Tone down a harsh word with a kind word. Mercy triumph over judgment. Love cover a multitude of sin. These are all scriptures, guys. Well, pray for me because it's really hard living with her. It's really hard living with him. Stop that. Stop that. Man, if Jesus would ever say that to you, you'd be crushed and hopeless forever. Well, it's really hard living with you. But the time you think you're getting it, you don't have it. I get my hopes up and you succeed and then flop again. How many times can you flop? Come on. Could you picture that? You say, well, no, but he's God. Yeah, but he made us in his image and he lives in us and we're his embodiment. And the same spirit that raised Christ from the dead lives and dwells in us. Let's stop making an exception and relating to flesh rather than life in the spirit. Is that fair?